Let's speak with Gawain Towler, former advisor to Nigel Farage, still, of course, very much part of the Reform UK narrative. I think that's fair, Gawain, to say that. Listen, what did you make, firstly, of your former boss's press conference today? It was very much laying it on the line and, to coin a phrase, telling it like it is.
I was very happy. I thought I was pleased that when this came through, civil liberties.
Gawain, we're just struggling slightly with your line. We will try and just regroup and get you back on. In the meantime, let me bring some comment from you. Chris in Northumberland, I don't think we are close to the tipping point. We've been in an abusive relationship with our government and institutions for decades. As with victims of abuse, it's hard to break the cycle and get away from the abuse. And I think, and Chris, thank you for that. You're kind of bang on, really. It's like, just retain the status quo. It's just easier to carry on, and we've got some bad bits going on, but those bad bits seem to be becoming bigger and bigger, and there's the problem. Gawain is back with us. Gawain, sorry, you almost got cut off the minute you began to answer that question about your about your thoughts on Nigel's his press conference on crime this morning.
Yeah, as I was trying to say, what was pleasing is, yes, I was very happy with the broad policies that were being announced, but in the question and answer session afterwards, there was a strong defence of civil liberties, of freedom of speech, as Leila, you've just had, talking about how she, as a woman, as a woman of colour and as a politician, gets it in the neck in social media a great deal. Yeah. I get it bad. She gets a lot worse. However, she believes, and I was delighted to hear this, that people have the right to upset her. If you're going into public life, you do need to grow a thicker skin, rather than demand that everybody else is silenced. And I think that's a very good sign. I think obviously we can't do it until we're in power. Removing the ECHR is essential for a lot of the policies that were mentioned. And the other parties are scared of that concept. Nobody is pretending this will be easy. And I think one thing is, Nigel mentioned in the press conference how in Warwickshire we're having issues with the civil service and the bureaucracy. That is true. But what has been surprising and pleasantly surprising up and down the country in councils that we have taken control of is the large number of civil servants who are delighted that we're in power because they can finally do their job. Yeah. They've been scared. Now they've got the political cover to actually do their job. And that is something that we weren't actually expecting. Now, it's a minority, but it's a significant minority of civil servants who finally can say, right, because you can't imagine that everybody working within the bureaucracy is happy with how things are, with DEI hires, with all the rest of it, with not being able to sack useless employees and basically have them brought into efficiency. That is not possible at present. You get into trouble if you even question whether somebody is doing their job. And so there are a lot of people within the bureaucracy who are delighted, and that's great news.
And it's interesting, just looking over what Nigel was announcing this morning, whether it's foreign criminals to El Salvador being imprisoned for, offences that at the moment you don't go to prison for, building more spaces. There was, bearing in mind the narrative around reform from opposition parties, they're sort of, the extremes of right-wing political thinking, when in fact I couldn't spot anything controversial in what Nigel said. He spoke in exactly the language of every person on normal civvy street that you're likely to meet.
Get outside your front door, politicians. Yes. Talk to people. The centre of public opinion, very different from the of Westminster opinion. The opinion is exactly where it falls now. It is not the other parties are sitting in Westminster. And recess starts today. I advise them to go and talk to people go to the coffee shops, talk to people, find out how people are feeling, because the Overton window on what people are prepared and a demand from their government is on rails at present. The mood is hardening because people are scared to walk down the street. People are looking at their country and going, what on earth has happened? Yeah. Why have they allowed that to happen? But to be honest, it's not just them, the politicians. We've elected them, and we have to take some responsibility ourselves. And if that means that responsibility is to vote for parties like Reform, who are making it very clear where they want to go. You know what we believe in. I don't think you know what the other lot do.
It's exactly that. I couldn't have put it better myself. Gawain, thank you. Before your phone line finally gives up the ghost, we just about got it. Gawain Towler is a big, big voice in the whole Reform UK, been there with Nigel throughout UKIP and the Brexit Party and all that goes on. Now former advisor to Nigel, but still very much part of the kind of inner workings, as it were. Thank you to him. And what he just said is right. You know, get out there, politicians, speak to your constituents. You do wonder sometimes who, like Labour, for example, who do they speak to? What do they get on the doorstep? Who are they taking counsel from when it comes to making policy? British people aren't asking for much. We're just asking for a basic order of fairness. I think that really sums it up. Basic order of fairness and what is right. And sometimes things are subjective, other times things are objectively and demonstrably right. And we're not ticking that box at the moment. What for you is the kind of final straw when it comes to that sense? As Nigel Farage was talking about civil disobedience, he was talking really specifically about what was going on outside the Epping Hotel. But I think just broader than that, just the sense of malaise, the sense of being utterly fed up at these bonkers ideas that are coming out from politicians.